Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boys.
Right on, writers, and welcome first-time viewers to the Books by Adrian author platform. I am your host, Adrian Santiago. Welcome back to the show and the channel. I'm so glad to have you guys here. This is the penultimate episode of the season. We have one more after this, and that is going to be a group discussion episode like last week. So it's actually means that this is our last author interview of this. So that's very exciting. We're going out with a bang. We have a wonderful guest for you guys today. If this is your first time with us and you don't know who I am, I said earlier, my name is Adrian Santiago. I'm an author and content creator here on YouTube. My debut novel, Mythic Shadow of the Spark, is due early next year. And if you would like to be alerted when that's coming, if you want to see the trailer, if you want to get first look at the cover, all that good stuff, sign up to the newsletter. The link is in the description down below, as well as on your screen right now. Today's guest is the very, very awesome author of the Housekeeper series, Miss Matteson Wynn. I cannot wait to talk to her. It's going to be a great interview. Please label any and all questions that you have for Miss Wynn with a Q so that I can find them in the chat and answer them later during the live chat Q&A. Along those lines, welcome to all the chat room people. Some of you were here very early, so thank you very, very much for doing so. I appreciate that very much. Now, we have a segment making its return this week since we took a little hiatus from it last week. So let's dive back into everybody's favorite. All right, we have two for you this week. Let me cue them up here because we're going to go like this. Perfect. So first up, the very awesome SD Houston has announced the AuthorTube Writing Conference for 2023. Very, very exciting. The one for 2022 was awesome. It was great to be a spectator. It was great to donate some prizes for her to give away. And I'm sure that she's going to be giving away prizes again next year, as well as accepting donations for prizes for next year. All of the information about that event and how you can get involved is found in that video, which is clickable down below. So please go check it out. Subscribe to Shannon's channel if you have not done so already. She is a great supporter of this channel as well as many other channels on AuthorTube, and she's just a wonderful part of the community, and please go support her. Now, the next one is kind of fun, kind of interesting, kind of different. All right, here's what we're doing. There is a channel there. Let me throw it up. There's a channel called Wordsmith Sarah Writes, and she posted a video last week called "What's Wrong with AuthorTube?" And she makes a point of pointing out, and I will do the same, that this has nothing to do with certain dramatic events that happened recently on AuthorTube. It has nothing to do with that. What she's referring to with what's wrong with AuthorTube is specifically, as she puts it in her words, it's just not as fun as it used to be. And I tend to agree with her a little bit. And I chose this video because it prompted a very important question in me, which you will find in the chat as a question that I am asking you guys to answer, as opposed to you guys asking us questions. The question, of course, being, as a reader, what would you like to see on an author's channel? So the main thing about AuthorTube is, from my experience, it's mostly how to write type videos or how to publish type videos and videos of that nature, as well as, sprints for writing, a lot of, obviously writing related content. And that absolutely makes sense. We're all authors. But that just means that we're making content for each other. And when I came onto YouTube and wanted to start an AuthorTube channel specifically, the whole point was to build an audience to someday market my books to. And so if I am not creating content for readers, if I'm only creating content for other writers, then what are my readers coming to me for? So that's kind of what I want to figure out from you guys is, as a reader, take your author hat off for a minute, put on your reader hat, and answer the question of what would you like to see on an author's channel? You go to your favorite author, his website or her website, you find out, oh, they have a YouTube channel. I'm going to click on that. What do you hope to see when that channel comes up? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. If you are here right now, let me know in the comments down below if you're watching this on the rewatch. All right, so that's what I wanted to know about that. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for the one, the only, Miss Matteson Wynn. Matteson, hello and welcome. How are you?
Hey, Adrian. I feel like I need to do a little dance after that introduction. It was great.
I'm glad you liked it. It's all about the music.
I'm all about the music. I sing all the time. I'm a walking musical.
Beautiful. Well, why don't you go ahead and take the floor for a second here. Let the people at home who may not be familiar with you know who you are, where you're from, and what you're currently working on these days.
Okay. I'm Matteson Wynn. I live in Austin, Texas, but I'm from Massachusetts, so I've been all over the place. I am currently working on editing book 4 in my series. I finally finished the rough draft of book 4, so it's delayed, but it's finally coming out this year. Yay! Go team!
I love the finally. There's so much emotion behind that.
Whoa.
Finally.
Dude, this one was a bear.
Yeah?
It just did not want to get out of the brain and onto the page.
Sometimes it'd be like that.
It do. I mean, for some people, the pandemic was great for their creativity. I was not one of those people. The pandemic, I was so anxious that I just, like, my creativity took a hike.
Tense up.
Like,
yeah, you
we'll
freeze up.
Peace, dude. I'll see you on the flip side. And that was that. And I was like, okay, you know, it happens. Hey, can I answer your AuthorTube question that you posed at the beginning here? So I think about this as a writer trying to talk to readers. I have the same question all the time. As a reader myself, I always want to know what's going on with a writer. What's going on in your life? What's inspiring you? What's content are you enjoying? Have you read anything good? Have you watched anything good? I watch way too much TV. I am a huge nerd. So, like, what have you seen recently that might blow my skirt up?
Right on.
That kind of stuff. I'm really interested in anything behind the scenes that got you to wherever you're going. All that stuff. So if you wanted to share that, I'd be all over it.
Very, very good suggestion. I like it a lot. All right. I'm going to definitely add that to my list, as I will to all the answers that you guys give me. I'm going to do something with this information. So please Throw it in there. Let's take a quick second to go ahead and welcome the individuals in our chat before we get into our questions today. First through the door was RC Scott. Hello and welcome, my friend. Cheers to you for being first through the door. Not to be beat, our running fool in here. Thank you very much, Ben Pick, for showing up. How are you, buddy? Jennifer Brown. Hello. Welcome. And did I already say Richard? I did not. Richard, hey, Richard is here. Welcome, Richard. All right, guys. So yes, go ahead and fill out the. There's also a poll going on in the chat. There's a question for you guys to respond to. Plus I want questions from you guys for Miss Wynn here. I'm going to throw this back up here. Here we go. So please label your questions with a Q. Throw them all up there while we go on, and let's go ahead and dive on into the interview. First up, Austin, Texas, and feline overlords. Please tell us all about these monsters holding you in captivity. What is happening with your overlords?
Okay, honestly, I'm the crazy cat lady. Apologies to everybody. It's just sort of happened. So unfortunately, there are people in our neighborhood who kind of hoard cats and then don't take very good care of them. Terrible. So they all wind up at my house. I don't know how they find their way here. I have a fenced backyard, but they all wind up on my deck some way or another. Yeah, so we've got 3 outside kitties that we kind of look after, and then I have a kitty, and then somebody left their kitty outside in the blizzard to die, so we took him in. So now I have 2 kitties inside and 3 kitties outside, and various armadillos and possums, and I don't feed them. Oh man, they were not kidding about Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas. The raccoons are the size of dogs. The possums are like enormous. And I have an armadillo. What the hell is
that? What evolutionary monstrosity is an armadillo? And why?
They're really, really cute, but I feel like Dr. Dolittle.
You've got something going on. They're attracted to you for some reason.
I like animals. Big, small, fluffy feathers, whatever.
They can tell.
But yes.
They can always tell.
The felines have been banished to another section of the house. So hopefully I will not. We may hear like clawing at the door, as in, how dare you lock me out of this? What were you thinking? I own this house. But they're not here at the moment.
Okay. We'll keep an ear open. Let's see what happens. All right. So before you were writing fiction, maybe still during, I don't know, freelance writing, editing, and copy editing. Tell us a little bit about your career in that side of things.
So, it's kind of circuitous.
Circuitous?
Circuitous. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. I write. I know words. Honest. They just don't always come out my mouth. I started as an actor. So I did the acting thing for a really long time, and then I got burned out. And so I sort of found my way back to writing. I'd always been a writer. I would write my own monologues. I wrote a 1-act. I did, bits and pieces here and there. But when I stopped acting, all that creativity had to go somewhere. And so then I went sort of back to writing more full time, more as a career. I saw the comment. Cats. Yes,
just
they do own me.
For felines.
They knew they were deities once upon a time, and they have not forgotten it.
I believe that. I believe that they remember. I'm sorry. Continue.
Yes. Sorry. Sorry. So I started freelancing. I've been tutoring since college, and so I had all this teaching experience, and that got me into educational writing. So I do I've worked in a bunch of different markets, but right now my day job is torturing the youth of America. No, just kidding. I write everything from little leveled readers to test materials, and everything in between. They're much more technical than fiction, It's a very specific kind of writing, but it's a really good job, and I get to help kids learn, which is awesome. So,
test materials. I always wondered as a kid who like actually creates a test. There were some cases where I knew that teachers would, but for the most part, they had like a thing that they would just pass out, and I'm like, who made this thing? And it was you.
Guilty. Some of them, not all of them. But yes.
You monster. How dare you?
Yes, I know. Evil.
So then
I make up for it with fantasy.
I was just going to say, so walk me through the transition then from all of that into becoming a fiction writer and losing yourself in these fictional worlds and all that.
So, like I said, the type of writing, editing, copy editing I do for my day job tends to be very technical. I am a very artsy-fartsy creative person by nature. So that part of my brain was not going to be quiet unless I did something with it. So this is how we ended up writing. I had the idea for this character in my head for a really long time. I write a little differently than some writers. I know you're a like hardcore plotter dude. I write from character. Former actor again, I can tell you all my characters' motivations, like their deepest feelings, all that stuff. Definitely the way I was trained as an actor informs how I write. So I had this character first, and then it kind of grew out from there. The sort of kick in the pants to get me to actually write the first book was I got sick and I needed something to do that didn't involve medical stuff. So I decided to put a little joy in my life by starting this book during NaNoWriMo one year. And
nice.
Continued from there.
Nice to know that NaNoWriMo actually does work sometimes. That's good.
It does.
That's awesome. Yeah, I figured that that the origins of your fiction came in that from that place of like writing so much nonfiction that you're just like, let me escape a little bit and do something that isn't real at all.
Well, so if you got to spend a lot of time in a world, I want it to be one I'm gonna enjoy. You know, if I'm gonna share a world with you and I'm gonna spend all this time living there in my head, I want it to be something fun and joyous that's gonna, give somebody an escape and give them good feels.
Yeah,
I know it's really Pollyanna, but that's the truth.
I'm all for giving good feels. I just, I just want to stab a couple people along the way is all. Fictional.
Oh, me
people.
too.
Fictional. People.
Faux show. They got it coming.
Yeah, of course. They're asking for it. Now, you have voiced a love of words. Yes. What I'm guessing is sci-fi fantasy and then snarky humor. Where do your love of these things come from, and how do they become infused in your writing?
So my grandfather was a writer and editor. He was actually the executive editor for the Saturday Evening Post, if you can believe that, back in the day.
Wow.
And he taught me at a very young age what a pun was. He had a great sense of humor. Nice. So humor always played a really important part in my life growing up. I'm a huge Douglas Adams fan. Have you read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I have only seen the film. I have not read the book, but it is on my to be read pile.
You are in for such a treat. You have such a great sense of humor. I have a feeling don't drink milk while you're doing it. It's coming. Just don't do it.
It would most likely be coffee anyway, but I appreciate the heads up.
Same. So I'm with you there. Yeah. So, and I find that the books that I personally am drawn to the most have a sense of humor to them. I love puns. The more incredibly late, the better.
Yeah. Same. I'm sorry. Continue.
Same. No, bring the dad jokes. Give them to me. I love them all. So humor, I want to it goes back to sort of my why for writing. Like, I want to give you a break. Like, let's life is hard, dude. Let's have some laughs and a little magic where we can get it. Let's get a little escapism going. If I can give a little giggle to your day and lighten your load for a few minutes, that's like everything. So
yeah, definitely. And by the way, I don't want to breeze by your compliment. Thank you for complimenting my sense of humor. I like to stay a little loosey goosey around here, and
I noticed.
And I'm realizing more and more that whether I planned for it or not, it's true with my writing as well. I'm starting to get feedback from critique partners, and they're pointing out like funny moments, funny things that I was like, I didn't really know that was being funny, but you're right, it is actually quite funny. So like sometimes it's not even intentional; it's just part of your personality, and it kind of seeps in there,
Isn't that lovely though? So as you get readers, it's lovely when they find things that you didn't even notice. It's such a nice. I have the nicest readers. I gotta tell you, I am really, really lucky. I get nice messages. I've gotten some really just made me tear up. Were so heartwarming reviews. Like, you have that coming for you. I'm so happy and excited for you. This is gonna be so good. Right? That's what it's coming. It's coming.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. I hope so. I'm really excited for the book to finally come out. It's like you were saying earlier, just finally, like once I sent off that third draft, I was just like, wow, now what?
Marketing, my friend. Marketing.
Yeah, I started taking a course on the whole publishing process and the marketing process, and I'm trying to get all my ducks in order. And right now I'm focusing a lot on the cover. I came up with what I think is a decent mock-up for, showing it to an artist and letting them roll with it. So I'm getting closer.
Sweet. Can you remind me what your day job is?
I work at a hotel. I am the night auditor at a Holiday Inn. So I work from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. 5 nights a week.
Oh, and you have kids.
And I have kids.
And you don't look dead.
No. Well, right now, thank goodness they are out of town. They're in Tampa with my wife. They're at a quinceañera for my niece. They're far from here. So like right now, everything is very calm and relaxed around here. But I do miss them terribly. Richard loves it. I do not. First of all, how do you drive a space shuttle? You know what? You're out of here. Just anyway. So yeah, I work overnight and I sleep during the day, and I miss out on my kids a lot. But if I am successful in turning this thing into a full-time career, then
you are successful.
When I am successful in turning this into a full-time career, then I'll be able to leave that life behind and just be at home and write for 4 to 6 hours a day or however long it is, and then spend the day with my kids and have a great time.
So this is the struggle, right, for all of us who have day jobs. It's a matter of time. Joanna Penn, the writer, and she has the Creative Penn podcast. She talks a lot. She uses the metaphor of a bakery. If you open a bakery and you only have one cookie to sell, your bakery is, unless you hit the jackpot, which does happen, probably you need more than just a cookie. Probably you need, 3 or 4 different kinds of cookies before you can, get to the point where your bakery is self-sustainable. I like that metaphor a lot.
Sure.
It takes time, which is really, really annoying. I'm not a fast writer, unfortunately, so it takes me at least a year to get a book done and out and through the thing. So, getting there, just slowly. I'm the slow dog.
These 3 drafts took me 3 years, the better part of 3 years to get out. And but looking back on these 3 years now, with hindsight being 2020, and being honest with myself, I probably could have gotten it done in half the time had I been more disciplined with my writing. Even as busy as I am, even with the kids and everything, I know deep inside I could have gotten it done faster. I can think of so many times where I should have been writing and I was doing something else instead. So I think the next book I'm going to get done a little quicker, and I'm just going to, keep trying to bring the professional with that. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, I do. And it's a process thing, right? So any kind of artist, actor, writer, dancer, whatever, it takes time to figure out what your exact process is. And you're constantly refining it over time.
I am doing
part
that.
Of the thing about being creative, right? We're always changing and evolving our game up a little bit. It took me years to write my first book. 6 between the time I started it and the time it finally got published. Whoa. It was a long time.
Yeah.
So, so I feel you. But then the second one took a year. So,
See? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. And I know that my second book is going to be bigger than the first, but I still know that I can probably get it done faster. Yeah, for sure.
My light turned off. Rude. Thank you. There it is. And there it went again. Okay, we're going to have tech problems because why wouldn't we? Okay. Well, we're going to be unevenly lit, and that's just going to be how it is.
We can still see you pretty good. It's okay. Go ahead and pitch the Housekeeper series to us. Tell us about your series of books and what's so fantastical about housekeeping. I'm very curious to know how fantasy and magic comes into it.
P.S. Loved the song the Housekeeper song you put on the Instagram story.
I thought you would.
Oh, for the win! I was so impressed.
If anybody wants to see it, go to my Instagram. It's still up.
Oh, it's awesome. I reposted it to my story, even though I'd already posted it. I was like, oh, this is good. This is so good. So first of all, you and I have a lot in common in terms of writing. Mine is my Housekeeper series has a lot of things in it, right? So there's a mystery, there's adventure, there's it is not a romance. Romance is barely there. It is fantasy, and it is, as your editor pointed out to you, falls into the major genre of urban fantasy because it's our world, but with magic. I describe it as funny, feel-good urban fantasy or contemporary fantasy, depending upon which way you want to land. Urban fantasy has drifted more into romance the last couple of years, and I kind of feel like I'm somewhere between urban and contemporary.
I have noticed that the majority of urban fantasy is got a lot of romance.
Is now romance bound, so I feel like I'm more contemporary than urban now. It's kind of so dude, do not be me. I have shot myself in the foot with the first book because there is a huge twist reveal. And so any elevator pitch or blurb that I say about this, I have to avoid the main thing that the book is about. I have shot myself in the foot. It's the worst thing. So this is going to sound a little vague.
You know what's like that? The first season of The Good Place. Did you ever watch The Good Place?
Yes! That is exactly what this book is.
That's exactly what it's about. Yeah. Because anybody who watches the first few episodes of The Good Place and then tells me, it wasn't really for me, I'm like, you don't even know what the show is yet. You didn't even get to the big twist. It changes everything.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yes. 100%. Thank you for feeling my pain. You totally get me. So basically, this is the one-line elevator pitch is when Finn Foster discovers that magic is real, she has to figure out what the cost is of living a magical life. So let me put it to you this way. You find out magic is real. What would you give to be able to wield that magical life? What are you willing to give up? How much are you willing to pay for this? Oh, I've lost you. I can't hear you.
No, you didn't. It was me. I muted myself. For me to answer that, I would have to know like what kind of powers I would get, like how powerful I would get, how much, what I could do with it. Yeah, like because then what I'm willing to sacrifice would vary depending on what I'm getting in return.
So she starts off at what she thinks is a family reunion, and things go sideways like super fast. It's just the weirdest, like bizarre stuff happening. And then it's just a downhill, crazy magical adventure. What my readers tell me is be prepared to stay up till 2 a.m. because you're not going to want to put it down and you're going to be giggle snorting. So mind the liquids.
Very nice. Yeah, all the what are they called? The not the warnings, but the
I have a warning that says warning may induce giggle snorting in public, so you know.
May induce liquids shooting out of your nostrils.
Yeah, nope. Yes. I mean, so, you know, I try to bring the joy where I go.
Now, what would you say is the secret to your addictive characters?
People are going to really hardcore disagree with me here because anti-heroes are real big right now. But I really, really, really think it's important to have somebody to root for. And so one of the nicest compliments I received about my main character, Finn, is that she's the kind of person you want for a best friend. So nice. If you really care about these people and they become real to you, then you really want to know what's happening. Like, what has happened to them? What happens next? How does this turn out?
Beautiful.
Would you say that your characters, do you have somebody in you? Are you going the full anti-hero route? Or are you doing the root for person? Like, where are you?
I feel like you can root for my protagonists. Yeah. At least one of them has kind of a dark past that he's trying to get away from. So in that sense, he might be a little bit anti-hero-ish, but no, for the most part, my protagonist, I'm like you. I like a good hero. You know, I like somebody to root for. Now, of course, my favorite show is Breaking Bad. Better Call Saul is a very close second. I love a good anti-hero. They're really good when they're well done. But you know, a good hero is what it's all about at the end of the day, man. Somebody to just get behind and stand up for what's right.
I get it. Yeah. And again, especially since there is a lot of just mean people in the real world, it's nice to have somebody in a book that, you know, gives you good feels. It's back to that feel good at the end of the day.
Okay. There's a few people from books I'd want as friends and plenty I'd not want to hang out with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Any hero, do-gooder or otherwise. Yeah, sometimes even the good guys are kind of, you know, like, ugh, who wants to hang out with that
guy? What did Michael ask? Names are so important.
Oh, I'm going to get to those in the live chat.
Oh, in the live chat. Okay, sorry. Nope, don't look in the comments. Bad Matteson.
Getting ahead of me. Here we go. How do you plan your twists? You mentioned a big twist, at least in the first one. I don't know if you have them in all of them.
Okay.
How does
all the books have them, but
all the books have a big twist. Very Shyamalan of you. Please, how do you work your twists into the plot, into the planning of the plot?
So, like you, I like mysteries. I actually started off reading mysteries when I was little, and then
like
sort of moved into fantasy from there. I like the puzzle, so I want my readers not to be bored. I want them to be interested, and to me, that means there's got to be something unfolding in every book. Okay, but hang on to your pants here, because you're a planner and I am not. Let's go. Duke's up. I'm a plantser. I know where the book's going to end. I have some signposts along the way, but part of the joy of the process for me is in the discovery. So, I have a kind of a weird process. I write a section, I edit it, I give it to my alpha reader, who is my sister Maura, and while I'm editing one part, the stuff for whatever the next part is burbles up, and so by the time I get done with editing, usually I get to the next bit and I have whatever crazy twist is gonna happen in the next thing.
Okay.
I get inspiration from everywhere. Sort of, I think about this a lot. I'll be watching TV and somebody will say something and I think, what if you turned that this way? That would be really interesting. This is my whole life. Like, I'll be like, what if you did this with, and then now I've got an idea. Or what if it always go left? How left we go?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. You know that it actually kind of reminds me of Quentin Tarantino. He was talking about Reservoir Dogs, and apparently that entire movie is very, very similar to a scene from another movie from back in the 70s, and somebody pointed it out to him in an interview. Hey, you know, you just took that scene and turned it into a movie. And he's like, yeah, that's the movie that inspired this movie. The whole point though is that they did a scene and I fleshed it out and made it into a whole other thing. Like it became something new. And that's kind of like you know where you and I feel like are coming from, because I do that too. I'll hear a line in a song or a line spoken in a movie or whatever it is, and I'm like, what if that was an entire story? Like flesh that out and like really dig into that idea, that concept. Yeah, absolutely. That totally rings true for me.
So I'm a nightmare when I'm in plotting mode, when like, my brain has decided that it's on and it's doing its burble thing. I will literally stop in the middle of the kitchen like a zombie crazy woman and just be like, like a zombie pattern. Then my best friend will be like, you were getting coffee. I'm like, right. And then I start moving again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, writers. And you know, I've heard other people talk about this on this interview, on your other interviews. We all have imaginary people living in our minds, and we talk to them all the time. It is very weird, and they tell us what they're doing. Like, I don't.
We're all freaks.
You tell me.
Yeah, we're all massive weirdos. Yeah, with me, it's I'll get an idea, and I'll have to like reach for a notepad, and I'm like, I gotta write this down, and I'm writing it down, and somebody's still talking to me, and I just have to be like, can you please shut up right now? I'm trying to write this idea before I forget it, and like, you know. It's a little rude of me, but you know what? Like I'm trying to make a living here, buddy. Like
100%. Speaking of making a living, are you self-publishing or are you going to try to go trad?
I am going to self-publish. Yeah, I am going to.
Because you want to actually get paid for your writing. Smart.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to actually make a couple pennies off this thing. Yeah.
Yes, that'd be nice.
I worked on it for 3 years. I'd like to get the bulk of that cash. Yeah.
100%. I'm in that boat with you.
Talk to us about the beauty and dangers of world building in your books, in your process, rather.
So I spent the bulk of the time. That one of the things that took so long about writing the first book was the world building. I took a lot of time to work out kinks in the world and how I wanted it to be. And again, for me, I'm gonna be living there in my mind for 7 books in this plot arc, okay? And I have hopes of building out the world from there, right? But this, I always had 7 books planned in this plot arc. It's got to be a place where I want to visit. So, and it's got to... Okay, do you subscribe to the Terry Brooks sort of side of things where you think magic has to have consequences? Because I do. And so then you have to figure out what those consequences are.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it entirely depends on the book and the world and whatnot. But yeah, absolutely. I do kind of subscribe to that. I honestly am still tweaking the magic system in my book before I publish it, because it's going to, like, the fantasy elements are going to grow as the series goes on. The second book will be way more fantasy heavy, and the third one even more so. So nice. So it's quite subtle in this first book, and that gives me a little wiggle room. But I'm trying to like put some more restrictions on myself and come up with some more, the payment, the consequences, as it were, for the magic.
So certainly that's one of the dangers of it. And then I think personally, the type of world building that I personally subscribe to, and everybody does everything their own way, no shade on anybody. I think you need to make rules and you need to follow them. So the danger in world building, I would think, would be, just half-assing it and not following your own rules, because it's hard to figure it out to work with the rules that you set. Mm-hmm. I think there's the beauty as well. If you can make a magical system and work within it, or fantasy system of whatever ilk you're building, that can be really wondrous and exciting, because I think as a creative person of any sort, having to work within constraints is actually really good for us. It forces us to innovate. When you have no barriers and it's just you can do whatever you want, it's just it's an overwhelm of possibility. When you have nice guardrails here and you have to make it work within the box, it really makes you work for it and makes your creativity up a level. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. The rules and restrictions are fuel for creativity. It makes you think outside the box. It makes you come up with, again, not to beat a dead horse, but with Breaking Bad, one of the lessons that I learned from that writer's room was to paint yourself into corners. They would famously like paint themselves into really, really tight corners and then have to figure out how to get out of it, and would take as long as they need to figure it out. And the example that they always give is our protagonists are stuck inside the RV. The cop that's looking for them is outside the door trying to get in. He's blocked them in with his car. There's no way out. How do you get out of this situation? And it took them 2 weeks to figure it out in the writer's room. 2 weeks of every day trying to come up with an answer. And after 2 weeks, finally they came up with it. But of course, the character comes up with it within a minute. Like, that's why that's the protagonist of your story. He gets to figure it out in 60 seconds. It took you 2 weeks to do it.
But then you get this really like off the wall, amazing solution that's worth the 2 weeks of sweat and misery.
Mm-hmm. And has incredible consequences all by itself too. Like that's the other great thing about that. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
For sure. So that's why I subscribe to the make your rules and then live by them, because you're going to be painting yourself into corners. You're going to be doing these things, and it makes you be that extra round of creative. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing to do.
No.
Your 2 week example.
It should be difficult.
Yeah, it should. I mean, we don't want to be bleeding on our keyboards. I'm not big on the whole suffering artist thing. I don't think that's a good archetype at all. I don't like that. But I do think being hard is good sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah. The challenge is part of the fun. Last question before we head into live chat Q&A. Please tell me a little bit about this thing you do on your blog with author birthdays. What's that about?
Okay, so there's all these really great authors out there, right? I'm assuming you read. I see the Martin books behind you. Most writers do. And it's impossible to sort of land on who I should recommend when. So I thought, what can I do for my readers that would be something I could give to them, and maybe introduce them to authors they wouldn't have met otherwise? So I landed on the author birthday thing. It's if you're on my newsletter, I want it to give you something. I don't want to be the author who's always like, just buy my stuff. Yay. Who wants that? I don't want to read that newsletter. Do you? No. So I try to add value. And the way that I do that is one of the ways is with the author birthdays. So I try to pick authors that you can find in the library. You don't have to buy if you don't want to. You can if you do. And it gives me a chance to feature maybe overlooked authors, maybe older authors. I try to feature diverse authors as well, so that we're giving equal access. Whole 9 yards.
Sure. Beautiful.
That's where that came from.
I love it. All right. Well, in that case, let's go ahead and get into the live chat Q&A. All right, y'all, here we go. You've been asking the questions. It's time for the answers. First up, Shelly Parker asks, Matteson, what books and shows are you loving lately as a reader/watcher?
Hey, Shelly. Okay, so right now I'm watching Wednesday, and I'm obsessed.
I hear great things.
Love it. The character work, the acting, the writing, hands down, all the way across the board. Yes, please. More. Thank you. Right now. Yes. Give it to me. What am I reading right now? I just started The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I haven't finished it yet, but it's cute so far. My top books this year that I will not stop recommending to people are House by the Cerulean Sea. That is going on one of my that's going on my favorite books of all time list. Highly recommend Legendborn. It's a retelling of the King Arthur myth, which is not generally my thing, and it's amazing. The sequel just came out in November. I was like, holy cow, yes, please. Girl Who Fell from Beneath the Sea. Author is Axie O. It is a myth that I was not familiar with, had never heard. Very, very cool retelling. Somebody who's in the genre that I'm sort of in, that funny, feel-good, cozy fantasy space. Have you read Legends and Lattes?
I have not. That sounds lovely.
It's lovely. He calls it a no stakes fantasy.
Okay.
It is about an orc who opens a coffee shop. It is delightful. It has gay characters, so he's giving, airspace to fantasy gay. We don't always see that. Wonderful. Very nice to have that. And I read Priory of the Orange Tree at the beginning of the year, and it is as good as advertised. She's a chonker. It's
a big boy.
So good.
Yeah. It's a big boy. So, I am not very far into it yet.
Highly
I have a long way to go.
The trip.
Yeah, I'm very excited to get into it. I'm very excited. I've heard such good things about it. Awesome. What was I was going to throw? Oh, this is what I was going to throw up. Richard has signed up to your newsletter purely based on the Windsider pun.
You can see. Did I say? Bring all the dad jokes. Bring them to me. I love them. Those are my people. I'm the one who sends my sister light bulb jokes when she's in meetings that she can't get out of. Like, how many light bulbs does it take just to make her laugh inappropriately in the meeting? That'd be me.
Nice. Nice. As a read, this is an answer to my question. We'll get back to that. Struggle coming up with content. Oh yeah, also with the question. All right, here we go. So,
hi, Michael.
Names are so important in your work, and not only people names, names of inanimate objects, trees, animals. How do you come up with the names in your books?
It takes me an obscene amount of time to name everything. So I will put placeholder names in. Everybody is named Pete or Bob or Steve. Until I figure out otherwise. I do a lot of etymology research. So I will look up the roots of all the names in all my books. Now I'm giving stuff away, but if you actually go and research the names, they will tell you things about the characters. So there you go. I'm that nerd.
I'm that nerd too. If you guys are reading my books and you read a name and you're like, that's kind of a weird name, look it up because it'll tell you a lot about the character.
I'm not going to Darth Vader you. Will it actually literally means the thing? I mean, we're not going to go that far. But no, if you want to dig around,
a characteristic or an element of the character, something about them will be in the name. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm with you right there. See, you and I have a lot in common.
We do. I like this. This is nice.
This is cool. Yeah.
Have you ever had to write yourself out of a corner? How did you decide between edits and rewrites?
All the time, having to write myself out of a corner. All the time. It's one of the dangers of discovery writing, or pantsing, as people call it. You have to be careful. Once in a while, I will write something and I'll be like, nope. That was the wrong way, and I will just have to chuck it, and that is painful. I just wrote a fast word chapter, I can throw it out because it doesn't work. Scrivener, I write in Scrivener, has a function where you can take, it basically saves every version. They call them snapshots. So one of the things about edits and rewrites is I can snapshot anything, do edits, and always be able to go back if I need to. You can roll it back to any previous version. So I can compare my edits and my rewrites to see if it's actually working, if the original was, I should have left it alone, blah, blah, blah. I will say that I have no problem hiking on my big girl pants and slashing. It's painful sometimes to kill your darlings. Like when you come up with a really clever turn. I love clever words. They make me so happy. And then to have to be like, that's too much description. You gotta chuck it. You just gotta chuck it. You gotta let it go. Save it for later. Put it in a bin somewhere. Just, save it on the side, but nah.
Yeah.
The bottom line for me is reader experience, right? For you as well?
Same. Yeah. I cut 3 whole chapters out of my entire manuscript by the time the editor was done with them. Two of them, I was able to like sort of reabsorb the important information from them into other chapters. But one was something I was actually really, really excited about putting into the book. I had this really cool idea, right? And since it's not in there anymore, I can share it. So the idea was this: the whole book is written in 3rd person limited, different point of views every chapter. And then there was going to be one chapter, just one, told through the point of view of the killer himself. And I was going to do that one in 1st person, because I wanted to put the reader in the head of the killer and have this really cool chapter that like stood out.
But you'll give the identity away.
Well, by that point, we already knew him. Okay. And we just wanted to know more about him. And my editor was like, no, chuck this entire chapter, like the whole thing, just scrap it. And made her case, and she was right. And I did end up cutting it. But it's funny because it was one of the things that I was like really excited about. And in the end, I was like, it's not even right for the book that I wrote. Like, it's got to go. And when it's got to go, it's got to go. You got to do what's right for the story, what's right for the book, what's right for the readers.
So the bottom line, Stephen, is that, for me, for Adrian, I imagine for many other writers, what it comes down to is you just got to suck it up sometimes and try to clarity. That's my baseline, is always clarity. Is it clear? Am I confusing things? Is it clear? Yeah. I tend to write lean. So I sometimes forget to put things in that I know that you're supposed to know, and I forgot I didn't tell you. So that'll come out in beta reads. They'll be like, there's no reason for her to be acting this way. I don't get this. And I'll be like, oh.
They don't know that person was at yeah. I've done that.
The funniest thing is the opening scene in a House for Keeping. There's a payoff for
cover that you guys see right there. It's a beautiful cover.
That is the brilliant Michael Tangent, who you met at the beginning while we were setting up. He does my covers for me. He's a very talented dude. He's also my editor, and he was like, what's the deal with the scene at the beginning? And I had forgotten the payoff. The payoff comes at the 3/4 of the way into the book that explains that first scene and why it's there. I just forgot to put it in there. This is why we have people read our work.
Yes. Do not skip the editing phase, people. The critique partners, the beta readers, they are very, very important. You don't know what you have forgotten.
Right? And I get such great feedback from my alpha reader and my beta readers. I mean, like life-saving, like, oh, geez. Thank heavens. Yeah.
Very nice. How do you work out all the magic stuff? I'm guessing that includes the rules behind it, the costs of it all of that magic stuff. How do you work all that stuff out? Hi, Kimberly. Welcome.
Hi, Kim. So there's 2 parts to that. So the cerebral stuff is I loosely base all my magic on science, on scientific principles. This is the reason I was reading about like thermal interactions so that I could figure out my fire magic. Like I needed a reason. I need to know some basic scientific principles, and then I just bend them all over the place. So my magic is loosely, nobody yell at me, loosely based on science. Always. That's first. When it comes to magical battles, it's me and a plate of M&Ms. I really got to get me some army, guys. It's not pretty. I have to physically draw things out to see where the magic's going to go and where I need a physical representation. So sometimes that's me in a plate of M&Ms, like scooting M&Ms along the plate to see where the stuff lands and where the stuff goes. One year it was, I forget what, last year it was M&Ms. One year it was chocolate chips because I only needed one type of magic. It just sort of depends. I'm making you laugh. I can see you giggling. Up, you're muted.
Thank you. What is a genre you won't read or write?
Ooh. So I read pretty broadly. I think it's important for me as a writer to read pretty broadly. Horror. I'm not a big horror fan. I will read because I won't sleep ever again. I am the biggest wussy you will ever meet. I will read Stephen King's less horror stuff.
Sure.
Love the Gunslinger books. I just la past the creepy parts.
There's a lot of creepy parts in those books.
Yeah, and I just kind of, this is why I like books, because you can kind of fast forward through the gross bits.
Guess. Okay. How do you know when to
read lightly, skim? Well, I skim. I'll skim that. I try not to picture them too vividly because then I don't sleep. I have nightmares forever. Creature double feature used to give me nightmares. I am the biggest wussy. So yeah, horror.
My wife is like that. I can't put anything on that's even remotely scary if we're going to bed soon. Like I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to have nightmares. It's like, but when are we ever going to watch this? We have children. We have to watch it when they're asleep.
Yeah. Well, she has you to wake up in the middle of the night. I have a cat. It doesn't work as well.
Well, 5 nights out of the week, I'm at work actually. So no, most of that's part of it is that she'll be alone. Yeah.
See what you did. See?
Yeah, that's exactly right. What other books are similar to yours? In other words, what sort of readers would you recommend your book to?
So if you liked House by the Cerulean Sea, you will probably love this.
Nice.
I would say Tuesday at the Castle by Jessica Day George. They're for younger readers. How old are your kids, Adrian?
7 and 3. My 7-year-old is really getting into reading.
You might want to have you read the Junie B. Johnson books? They're hilarious.
No, I'll have to pick them up.
Okay. Tuesdays at the Castle might be just a little bit too old for them, but it's definitely meant for younger readers, and they're delightful. In the Innkeeper series by Alona Andrews would also be a good fit. Mine are a little more happy-feely than those, but yeah.
Nice. Richard. Is there a place for spreadsheets in your outlining process?
Oh, Richard, I have seen you in your spreadsheets before. You are my dude. Sadly, everything in my life is a spreadsheet, except for my plotting. I don't do
Thank God. Thank you. The voice of reason. Finally, somebody on my side.
Now wait a minute. I say do whatever works for you. If that's gonna blow your skirt up, Richard, you do you, babe. Go for it, man.
Now I'm picturing Richard in a skirt. Thank you very much for that visual.
You're welcome. See, you knew you needed me in your life, Adrian. This is how it goes.
I threw this up by accident earlier. It's the answer to my prompt. As a reader, I would love to see what books my favorite authors are reading and what books inspire them. So echoing your thoughts a little bit of what's going on in our life. What do we like? What are we doing? Absolutely. And the poll, was 2022 a success for you as an author? 66% are very happy with their career this year. Very wonderful to hear that. No, from 16%. And depends how you define success, another 16%. 6 total votes. I thought that those percentages was hearkening to more votes than that, but okay, that's fine.
Can I say, for those of you that are feeling like the year didn't go the way that you wanted, try to look for the wins. Every win counts, even the small ones. Did you write any words? Did you think about what you wanted to write? don't be so hard on yourselves. As writers, we tend to really, any kind of actors are the same damn way. I mean, we really beat ourselves up. Don't do that. If you can help it. I'm guilty of the same thing. So, like, this is the pot calling the kettle black. Try to find the small successes, because they really do count, and they're the little bits really add up over time. So,
sure.
Don't be too hard on yourselves, guys.
That's part of the benefit of setting small goals for yourself along the way.
Yes.
Every time you hit one of those small goals, you get a little win, you get to party a little bit, rejoice, you get to celebrate your win, and that's going to keep you moving forward. That's going to keep you doing more and more. So yeah, absolutely.
100% agree with that.
Lauren says, great advice. I was beating myself up. Drastic change from not writing all day to a 40-hour-a-week job. Yeah. Well,
oh, sweetie, I feel you. Yeah,
we have day jobs, man. We got to pay the bills. I get it. Yeah, stick to it. Stay.
Hey, you know what?
Hang in there.
Good for you for still writing and having a job. It is hard, dude. I mean, jobs eat all your brain space, and then there's not a lot left over for anything else. And then if you've got anything else going on, if you got a chronic illness, if you got kids, not the kids are equivalent to a chronic illness. That's not what I'm saying. Everybody's got something, right?
It's like a symbiote, like
I'm the oldest of 5 kids. I understand. Yes, no. But I mean, the fact that you're making any progress at all, that's phenomenal. I mean, Lauren, pour yourself a beer, coffee, whatever, and touch yourself. Good job.
All righty. A quick reminder for anybody watching this on the replay. If I have one call to action today, this is the one and only one. Please, as a reader, what would you like to see on an author's channel? Again, this is really going to help me to develop this channel moving forward, because once the book is out, I'm going to want to talk about me a lot more. I'm going to want to talk about my book a lot more. It's going to be more about me around here. So tell me what you guys want to see. Yeah,
fair enough.
Humility or whatever. All right, guys. That about wraps it up for us today. Miss Wynn, thank you so very much for being with us. This has been a complete delight. Stick around. We're going to do a little bit of Typewriters Podcast after this. For those of you who want more from Miss Matteson Wynn, the final episode of Typewriters Podcast for this season airs this Thursday at 4 p.m. That's when it premieres. I'll be in the chat if you guys want to ask me questions and whatnot. And I like this, as it should be. The channel is called Books by Adrian. Yeah, I know, right? Oh, here's a good answer. Juicy behind the scenes with the author. What is Juicy referring to? I need more detail on what juicy means, Richard. What are you actually looking for here? There's only so much I can show on YouTube.
Very well done.
I mean, if you're asking, I can. All right. So Thursday, 4 p.m. Come back for that. Next week on Livestream Sunday, we have our final episode of the season, a group discussion on the publishing process. Miss Wynn, go ahead and say goodbye to the people at home and let them know what you have coming up next, whether it's a book release or another event or an interview or whatever you would like to promote going forward. The floor is yours.
Hello again. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Book 4 will be coming out this year. So yay to that. Woohoo, progress. If you want to find me, check me out on my website. You can join the Winsiders newsletters. That's the best way to keep with what's happening next and what I'm up to. Thanks so much.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Miss Wynn. Thank you very much for everybody at home. Come back next Sunday, right on Writers. And we are out.